No two police officers experience exactly the same thing on any given day. However, they all start their day off the same way, here at the Police Administration Building.
This is the Police Administration Building. Next door to us is the Police and Communications Building. Most officers that are working patrol will arrive here in the morning in their civvies, in their civilian clothes. We'll go to the locker room, get dressed out in their uniforms. Then we go to briefing, where the briefing sergeant calls roll for everybody, make sure everybody's there that's assigned to work for that day. The briefing sergeant will give the officers information about what's happened in the last 24, 48 hours, and then the officers will find their car and get in their car and hit the street. And then from here, we're off into the different areas of the city wherever we work, and we start answering calls for service that come in from the 911 operators.
After 20 plus years of working as a patrol officer in a car as well as on a motorcycle and working homicide, Sergeant Schneider decided to accept the promotion of becoming a sergeant. As a sergeant, he does more administrative work than actually being involved on the scene. He decides what calls they should go to and in what order, depending on the urgency of the call. He sends out one of the patrol officers to answer the calls and only goes to the scenes if his presence is needed. He has to approve all of the reports that come from the patrol officers in his district, as well as doing any additional paperwork for cases or for his patrol officers. The recent rapid improvement of technology has allowed the police officers to become more efficient with their jobs.
So on our MDTs in the car here, we're able to see the calls that are being dispatched to us from the dispatcher. She'll give it to us over the air on the radio. We'll also be able to see the event here on our screen. It'll give us the type of call that we're going to, the location, and then all the details of call, including who the other officers that are going with us. And we can see any kind of information about the vehicles or the people that are involved, all the other officers who are attached to the event as well, and then down towards the bottom of the event are associated calls that have happened with the same location or the same vehicles in that same area, so we can get an idea of some of the history of some of the places or people that are involved in the call. The other function on this computer is the ability to send messages back and forth to other officers or the dispatchers with information about the call that we're working or any kind of follow-up that we're conducting on a case.
The dispatcher rates the crimes on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being the lowest urgency, while 1 is a priority to get to as soon as possible because there is violence happening at that moment. A 2 is still an urgent call, but there has not yet been any reported violence. If a call is rated a 3 or below, the officers get there only when the most urgent calls are already taken care of.
So while we're out on patrol, a typical day involves driving through the district that we're assigned to, taking calls for service that people call in when they're calling 911. We're also checking neighborhoods, looking for crime that's actually happening in progress that hasn't been reported yet. Typically we're familiar with the problem areas in our district, so we do drive about our district checking those areas. As the supervisor of the team out here in a district, my responsibility is to keep tabs on all the different calls that are happening in the city or in my particular area of the city at a time, and evaluating which calls are more important than the others and trying to manage the resources I have and decide which calls are going to be answered in which order, keeping track of where my guys are and everything that's happening at any given time.
A patrol officer is the lowest ranked officer, but their jobs are just as important. They are the officers that drive around and give out traffic tickets. They are also the first people who arrive at a crime scene that was called in.
On patrol, we answer pretty much any kind of call that comes in, whether it's a very mellow verbal type of argument all the way up to homicides.
Okay, copy that. Control, this is separate from the stolen car, correct?
Abram, you're now on event 556.
Copy that.
While driving around, a call came in at approximately 9:30 in the morning to report a stolen car. This car was described as a white Prius with 4 bullet holes in the side, and we later found out that his son had stolen his dad's car and that this was not the first time it had happened. Because there were no other open cases, many of the police officers in the district, as well as Sergeant Schneider, started to look around the area that car was last seen. With no prevail, the officers dispersed throughout the district while still keeping an eye out for the stolen car. Around 1 o'clock, 2 officers decided to eat lunch together. Their cars were parked a space apart, and when they were coming back, they noticed there was a white Prius that was parked in between them, and it matched the license plate number of the stolen car. The man was sitting in the car, but none of the doors would open. After backup arrived, they got the car open, arrested the man, and searched the car. They did not find anything in the car, but they did comment that that was one of the strangest forms of self-surrender they had ever seen. The day did not amount to anything you see on TV shows. Yes, major crimes do happen, but San Jose is a relatively safe city. Most of the calls Sergeant Schneider got were given to his patrol officers, and the only call he attended all day was the stolen Prius. Some of the days are slow, while others are busy with continuous crimes, but this is just like any other job.
We do a lot of crashes. We get a lot of dead bodies out here. We have a lot of problems with children who have grown up but have not moved out of their parents' house and are still causing grief for their parents. So get a job, move out.